Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to a webinar about SASBOSS 2.0 Unleashed. We're going to be going through the things that are coming up next, being launched in July. My name's Anne. I'm the head of platform looking after SASBOSS at Access 4. I'm joined with Mitch.
Hey, Senior Solution Consultant here at Access 4.
Brilliant. And we're just going to take you through some of those updates. So what we're going to focus on today are the three core things that we're working on as a SASBOSS team. So a lot of this will be really familiar from roadshows or previous Access the Techs webinars. So the first one was an absolute crowd favorite at roadshow, and it's customer audit logs. So customer audit logs are the ability to see all the adds, changes, terminations of services within the customer. So it's a real troubleshooting tool that helps you see what's going on. So if a customer calls up, says they've got an issue, you can go quickly see if any recent change may have caused that. You can see exactly what the change was and go and rectify it as needed. So troubleshooting tool, saving you time troubleshooting, making it easier to support customers. The next one is reseller brand management. This is a brand new feature. It's not just an improvement, it's new. And it's the ability for you to control your branding in SASBOSS. So slightly different between powered by partners and white label partners, because there's logos and branding differences. But this is brand new, bringing this into SASBOSS. So we're going to take you through that one and do a live demo. It is still, all these things are still being worked on. So they're in sort of testing phases, and not all of it's quite there, but we'd love to show you what we have. And the last one is some other 2.0 ads as the role of 2.0 goes through SASBOSS, and that's the create modals for customer, group, and service.
Yeah, it's quite a lot changing at the moment. A lot of new features, lots of changes to the user experience and everything that's been happening so far. And it's a lot more of growing upon what your team has been working on over the past 6 to 9 months with the changes previous, and just growing upon that.
Yeah, that's right. A lot. So 2.0 has obviously been going, we've been rolling it out, most important areas first, most used areas, which creating customers, groups, and services is absolutely fitting into that bucket. And so we're nicely rounding that out. Which area are you most looking forward to coming out?
Definitely audit logs. That is something that I think is...
That's not a surprise.
No, not at all. It is definitely one of those things that it's very useful to have, being able to see when changes were made, what the changes were, and who made the change as well, is definitely something that's important from both a troubleshooting perspective, our TAC team as well, very useful for them, as well as your teams internally from the partners perspective as well.
Brilliant. And the very last thing we're going to go through today is a bit of the upcoming roadmap. So what we're going to have is basically the top 10, 11 things that we have in the upcoming roadmap. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on which order you'd like to receive it. This is quite a long roadmap. We're looking long-term, long ahead. It's about 2 years worth of roadmap there. So we really want to get your feedback on what you'd like to see first, because some of them are really chunky pieces that are months of development. I want to make sure that we're getting the value to you that you'd like to see. But without further ado, we'll go into reseller brand management. So reseller brand management, as I mentioned, is your ability to control your branding of how SASBOSS looks. So that's colors for your themes, logos, but there are some additional functionalities if different kind of partner types. So if you're a powered by partner, you can also control your login. So, sorry, a login page, I should say. So that's currently done in PRC. So you go to the PRC, there's a branding login section, and you can create that login page. And same functionality has been brought across. So your ability to upload your logo, put your support contact and email in, and it's a set template. It hasn't changed, but it has had the 2.0 treatment put to it. So we'll show you that in just a second. But that is the right-hand side there. So you go in, add what you like, the URL is there, and then your login page is set. On the left-hand side of the screen there, you have the login, the colors and themes logo controls. So I'll just jump into SASBOSS and show you that now. So the way you get there is from the reseller actions. So if you go into reseller and I go brand management, so new menu item, jump in. Now this is a powered by partner example, not a white label example. So what you come here is you can see your custom theme. If you don't want to use a custom theme and you just want to use default SASBOSS, which is what the picture is to the left here, you can toggle that and you'll just stay and you'll get any changes that we make. It keeps it simple. But if you would like to put your branding information in, you absolutely can. So there are a number of colors that you can control. So primary color, which is used for main buttons and selective text. Font color, which is used for all other fonts like headings and written text. Then you have the background color, which is the menu background color. Highlight color, which is the backing. So when you hover or highlight something, it changes to that color. We recommend it's very similar to your primary color, like a tinting of that, because they're pretty much used together. So for example, in the menu here, you have the primary color for that font item, then you have the tint behind it, and then the button text color. So you, again, on buttons, primary buttons, it uses your primary color, and then you can control the font color. Generally, if you have a dark color button, we recommend white. If you have a light color, primary color, then black is often a good choice.
It's definitely a lot of settings and different color options that we are giving partners the ability to control from this perspective as well, which is something that's could be done previously in some cases for the white label partners. However, was difficult even for them and had to go through our dev team and different ways of doing that. However, every partner has this ability to be able to control these different color aspects and what SASBOSS looks like for them from that side of things.
That's right. Yeah, it had to go through dev, and it was done during at onboarding, and so you couldn't really change it very easily. This gives you the full control to change it as you like. The difference on a white label partner is you to have the ability to upload logos, which would change your menu logo, for example. But being powered by its co-brand, so the SASBOSS logo stays. You also have the ability to change the logo in your footer, which would then show up next to the Powered by Access 4 logo. So I'll just give a quick demonstration of changing this. So this is the Access 4 default colors. You can change them either by selecting the color picker and picking what you want, but you can also go through and change it by if you have hex codes from your branding department, or if they have RGB color, like however code, it will configure it for you. And I'll just make my highlight color a version of the purple, which is already then tinted for me. What's really cool and what I really like is that I can preview the changes before we commit to them. So here you can see, if I jump back, SASBOSS has this, well, not a good example, but blue is the primary color. So it would look like this. Preview, I've now applied to purple, and I can go through and move around SASBOSS and see how that would look to make sure my buttons are looking how I'd like them to, how my text is looking the way I'd like them to before I commit to those changes. So very convenient for when you are in marketing and branding, you want to make a change, see what you like, make some small adjustment. You can do it without having to change in production for your customers and active users. And then I can just close the preview and commit those changes if I want to. Or I can just discard them and keep it the same colors. So that's the theming of SASBOSS page. The login page, which is a powered by only because it's using our default. If you're a white label partner, you can still use yours the exact same way and customize it to your heart's content. But for powered by, you are using the SASBOSS template. And here you can change your logo. So your logo, exactly the same format as it used to be. SASBOSS logo there, your logo appears here. You have your login fields, and then your support information appears at this bit. So you put your phone number there, email here, and it will show up there under the Powered by Access 4. Cool. Additionally here is DKIM, which I know you want to talk about.
I was about to say, DKIM is a nice new feature that we are providing to our partners. So that is things like your SPF records, if you're for when we're sending emails from to look like yourselves, from that kind of thing, those kind of situations. Today, it was something that kind of happened during onboarding, or we had discussion during onboarding, and there was a PRC article about it. That was kind of it. It was very limited information. They were kind of the only two aspects from that perspective. And if partners made a change on their side, they didn't know what a record was, something like that, it then meant that voicemail reset passwords and things like that weren't going out to end customers, or were getting bounced back into our system, things like that. So we are actually trying to make this a lot easier for partners to be able to see and know what these are, how to make changes to them, things like that. And so that's part of one of these changes as well. So part of that brand management is that DKIM management. Lots of other different parts to it as well. But this is something that we have been working on. It's still under development, so can't look at it just yet. So it's still one of the things that isn't quite ready for presentation today. But it is something that is going to be released with alongside all of these changes as well. So it's going to be quite nice from that perspective. I'll stop a lot of the support issues that we see come in from both end customers saying they're not getting emails and things like that from to our partners, and then partners reaching out to us about why, things like that.
Yeah, and there'll be quite a clear set of instructions of what you need to do. Exactly. The domain you want to put in there, it will generate the DKIM record. You can put that straight into your DNS, and it'll explain exactly how to do that. So if you haven't done it before, there'll be instructions. If this is quite common to you, it's quite easy to use. So just click the button.
Exactly. Should be good.
Awesome. All right. The next thing I want to go through is some of the SASBOSS 2.0 changes I mentioned. So it's the create modals, the core ones that we're updating. So create customer, create group, create service, as you have on the screen. But I will do a quick demo of those changes as well. So coming back in, first one we'll say is create customer.
I do think I may have lied a little bit earlier. The new create customer one, I think may almost overtake the
Maybe your favorite.
Yeah. I did get a sneak preview of this the other day. I do have internally have a few accesses that haven't been rolled out just yet, and some people from product forget that I do occasionally have. And I clicked on create customer, and I got this new Moodle. And it was quite a surprise to me. I hadn't seen it in the works, hadn't been part of any of the feedback testing, anything like that. So I saw this one for the first time a couple of weeks ago, about a week or two ago, and I thought it was much better than the current process and what that kind of looks like. So I'm actually quite excited for this one as well.
All right, we're going to get onto what Mitch is talking about in just a second. The first thing I want to talk about is just the first step to get here. So there used to be...
I do mean this as well.
Oh, you mean...
Yeah.
He means all of it, all the customer creation process. He loves it. All right. So there were originally two buttons. If you're in current SASBOSS, if you were originally, currently is for you. It's coming to change. But there's two buttons. One's create customer, which brings up the manual creation modal, or Moodle, as I think you just pronounced it as, a modal. And you have to fill everything in quite manually, and it's all blank, and you fill through. The other option here now, and sorry, the other button was to create from opportunity. And so you do that, we give you a list of your opportunities, you'd pick the one, and then it goes through and it pre-fills. This is bringing those two things together. So now it's just one button, one step. Go open that. So you click create customer, opens to here, and then you have the choice of you can create from your opportunity or create from a manual one. It saves you from accidentally creating from manual when the opportunity is actually already there, and then you have to double handle information. But I can go through here and click on any of these, and it will pre-fill for me. Or I can go straight to the manual creation. I bring up here, and then I do it all from scratch. But if I'd clicked the other one, this would have been filled out with my customer information, the products that have been selected, all that contact information. It's all good to go, and you just follow through. So what do you like the most about this modal then, Mitch?
The actual fact that product type does explain what the 3 different product types are now. That used to be a question we used to get a lot internally from partners, new people inside of our organization not knowing exactly what they meant as well. So it's a question that gets asked a lot is what is bundled? What does that include? Those kind of questions, making that much easier to see from this point of view as well. Also, there's a lot of settings in there that were a little bit legacy. There was a password field that is required on our backend platform. However, not something that needed to be set. Most people just hit generate password and then forgot about it. Those kind of settings are now hidden away a little bit as well. So making that process a little bit more streamlined from that side of things is a lot better as well.
Yeah, so as you said, Mitch, like when we design these, we design them with partners and co-design with them. So exactly as you just mentioned, lots of partners raising. Well, for me, when I was learning SASBOSS, it was confusing which products to do. Even sometimes today, it's still confusing. They don't often put a lot of new customers through. As you mentioned, also streamlining, trying to take away anything that doesn't need to be there, doesn't need to be filled in every single time into some optional configuration spaces. So as you say there is the product type of a description of what that means. And when you change product, the options of what you can do also change. The UC Express is included in PayYG only, whereas if you have a business customer, you also get the bundled option.
Yeah. Did just have a question come in as well through the chat. Can you change the imported information from the opportunity? So once they create an opportunity, the information that loads here.
So if I go back and cancel this one.
Yeah. So all it's doing, it's not creating the customer straight away. If you do hit create from opportunity, it's importing the customer's name, the contact details, anything like that that is in the opportunity will come across. So it's just pre-filling those fields for you, making that a little bit easier from that perspective than anything else.
So I just grab off the opportunity there. Apologies, it does take a bit of time just because it's a test environment and there's a lot of test data in there. But I can go through and I can share, hey, and go through and change it exactly. So yeah. Cool. All right, that's create customer. So a nice update there to, again, streamline, making it easy to do things. I'm going to jump into a customer now and create a group. Just use this one because it has the most stuff going on. All right. Oh, that was a sneak peek. No one saw that. No one saw that. All right. In here, so changes to create group. So again, you can do it from the regular groups page or within the customer, but click create group gives you the updated modal. Again, streamline, putting things that are optional and don't always need to be filled in here and hiding them away. And then coming down, you can go through and create your group there. Again, it's all the same information. We don't want things to need to be retrained or relearned or complete change of process. It's just making the information easy to put in, streamlining what you're doing, making it easy to read and interact with. So again, the 1% that make the experience much better.
Definitely.
So that's create group. Again, you're asking me to confirm. And if I want to do a service, this modal has been updated as well. So going in, obviously my customer's pre-filled because I'm within the customer. If I was in the group, I could do the same thing, pick my group, pick my service type, and away I go. That's probably not a good example, but yeah. And I submit, and that would take me through to the process.
Yeah.
All right.
I was going to say, it is just that page. Once you go through to the actual service creation wizard or the service creation page, it is still on the old interface. That one has not been updated just yet. Right. There is a lot of those pages. I'm sure Anne's team is looking forward to and dreading potentially a little bit the amount of those different pages and how similar and different they all are. So
yes, yes, SASBOSS is huge. It has a lot of flexibility and functionality that you can control, which is one of the benefits of SASBOSS. But it does mean when you do a UI rollout, there's a lot of spaces to update, especially when we're reviewing the user experience at the same time. So it's not just UI we're changing, it's what can we remove, what can we streamline. That takes a bit of time when you're reviewing every single modal and every single page. So that's why there's quite a lot to do. But I am very excited. Upcoming project is to completely review how we do service management. And so that will yield a lot of really good efficiencies. All right, moving on to the crowd favorite. We have a Marvel theme going on in the SASBOSS team at the moment. So we're sticking with the Marvel theme of growth because there are a number of phases of audit logs. So as you can see there, the 0 phase, which is the actual creation of the database for audit logs, has been completed. And what we're working on now is that key services logs with the interface. So when you see 00, that's because we had to actually create the database and architecture to start logging all of these events the correct way. So we had event logs before, but they weren't in the format of the what, the when, the who, with the right information, all these logs that we display to you in the audit log. It had much more system-generated information that's meant to be read by a computer, not by a human. So we had to go through and reset all of that and start logging from that point again. So when we look at these phases, the database setup, logging happening, then number 1 is to have the key service logs displayed in an interface and start showing. So key services refer to endpoints, IVRs, call queues, hunt groups, and ring groups. And that's where we get the most of our TAC ticket queries. It's where most of the changes are made in SASBOSS for various services. So we wanted to go through those first. We also didn't want to do everything all at once and find out, oh, that's actually not how we'd like to see audit logs. Could you change it? We want to get that to you first, get some feedback, make those changes as required before we went and did everything else. So first phase is key services. Number 2 is all the rest of the services, so SIP and everything else. And then number 3, when you get the full size group, it's the customer level logs and group level logs. So that's things like changing the name, changing a contact, changing address, things that happen at the group level, not necessarily the services underneath it, because obviously they're covered in previous releases.
Yeah.
Good question. So is there any pipeline to revert changes? It is a later release after Groot. If you think Groot full war mode, that's probably that next phase. So so we want to get all the logs in first and then start working on having revert. So I'll show you an example. So the actual live version in SASBOSS is still, as I mentioned, being built. So it doesn't have everything in it yet. But when you go in, so this is what it will look like as an interface perspective.
Maybe a little bit small, but we'll jump in and show you a live demo in just a moment.
We will. I'll join in just a second. But so it's got a table and you can see all the logs that are in there. Future versions will have the ability to isolate that row item and potentially roll back to that stage or select that particular one for rollback without affecting others. We are definitely looking at doing that, and we understand the benefits of having that, because the customer was in a stable state at that point, then changes are made, now it's not working. We don't know necessarily maybe which one was, so we'll just go back to that stable state. So absolutely, but it's not in this first release. First release is just a view only. Well, basically a view-only mode. It does have links in there that you can jump to, but there's no ability to roll back. Is there also versioning services?
So almost filtering upon a specific service, so you can see all the changes for a specific service rather than everything for a customer. Yes,
you can. So again, that screen's probably not the best. I'll jump to the live version of SASBOSS because it's a bit washed out. But if I go back to that customer, yes, there is. So in the table, there is search, which actually hasn't been implemented yet, apologies. But you can go into the audit log and you can type in that service and it will then filter that whole table to that service so you can see the full history. When I say full history, there is 60 days worth of history available in the audit logs at any one time. If you want more, then there is a paid for package add-on to have additional logging. But we do find that most of the queries that come through, because something happened in the last 30 days, 60 days is in case it was something that happened it's a billing query and it happened at the end and you need sort of that month to go through and partner to raise it so you can still see that.
Definitely. And if you do want that more than 60 days, do reach out to your account manager or your SC, and we'll have that conversation. We'll get the relevant parties involved from our side and have that discussion about what that looks like from a billing perspective and everything from that side as well. So
brilliant. So as you can see in here, you can see when the change was made, where it was made. So you're already within that customer, so you can see which group it is, which service it is, what the change was. Now it's not. We do have a future roadmap to bring this more detailed. So right now it doesn't tell you what the change was before and then what it is now. So if a setting was modified, what the previous setting was, and then what it's got changed to, it just tells you that for this service, a call recording setting was modified. But what we're trying to do here is let you, so I'll jump back to my screenshot because it's not fully implemented here, is that there are links on that selective call forward. So you could either go directly to the service, go to the group, go directly to the service, or you can go to that setting. If you click on that setting, it will show you the mode or the setting interface that you can change for it. So it's meant to make it much easier to navigate and get to that space rather than having to go, all right, now I have to go into that group and remember what that service was and then go into the service. It helps you move around. So again, so the goal of this state is customer calls, says things isn't working the way it should. You can jump in, see what the recent changes were. If it was one of those changes, because it was that call forward saying that's making it the issue, you can go straight there and change it back to what you need to.
Definitely. If you jump back into the live version as well, just one thing. Maybe a little bit blurry or washed out from what you're seeing. However, I do want to point out on the right-hand side, it says action by, and they all say access for admin. That would be if we made a change to your customer for whatever reason. Within your organization, that's not what you're going to be seeing if it was yourself who made a change or one of your staff members who makes a change.
That's right. So I'm currently logged in as a reseller partner user for a domain. And so I would see access for admin for any changes that are made. But if it's someone from in my organization, within the reseller, I would see name and their role in SASBOSS here. And again, if it was a customer who made the change, if you've given customers access to this, access to make changes in SASBOSS, you would see the customer who made it. So their login and role in the system too. Cool.
Yep.
And you want to add to that one?
No. The other feature that is coming as well is the export button as well. So that's not on the current version that we have in testing at the moment. However, it should be there for release.
It will be there for release. Yes.
Perfect.
That's right.
Is the ability to export those settings as well, or not
The 60 days worth of logs.
The logs, right. Yes.
Yeah. So if we do look up at the top here, you do have a overall search. So you can search within that column of the table. So again, if you're looking for a particular service or setting type that may have been changed, you can go through here. For a particular user or a time, you can go through that way. General search will search for everything. The time range is the time range of when it was actioned. And then you have a time offset. So that's if, say your customer's calling from Perth, but you're based in Melbourne, and it's hard to do on the phone, it's hard to do some time zone changes. You can select the time zone offset. So you would set them saying the caller is in from Perth, put that in there. These times will now correlate with what they're calling and saying about. So you can then see those changes.
Where to export all the settings for a customer service that have been modified / changed.
So if you have filtered to that and then push export, you will get those.
You'll see the you'll see
changes. Yeah.
So you'll see it will say what has been changed, whether it was time of day routing or service pack add-ons, things like that, or extension updates, those kind of changes you will see. You won't see, correct me if I'm wrong here, the previous and current state.
Correct. No, you won't see that. That's not in this current version.
So it will tell you what settings been changed, just not before and after.
Correct. All right. If you have any further questions.
Important internet store, what's been set up? No, not for this perspective.
No, that would be more of a configuration export that you'd want to do.
Yeah. Reach out to your SC after this, or reach out to myself, and I'll have a discussion with you about that one. There is a few things we can do from a initial configuration export option.
All right. If you have any further questions, please put them in the chat. We are monitoring it. But I'm going to move on to the next thing, which, apologies, is just a bit of our upcoming roadmap. So this is it as it currently stands. We do often update our roadmap based on priorities and feedback we're getting of things that people are asking for and have a really good demand for. But this is how it's currently looking. So it's broken up in rows by the areas of SASBOSS that are getting the update. So at the very top row, you've got SASBOSS 2.0. As you can see, there's quite a lot in there, and there's still quite a lot off the page that to continue.
And did say she had about a 2-year roadmap. This is the next 6 months of it.
SASBOSS will come in a fair bit. 2.0 will finish a fair bit earlier than that, but there is quite a lot to get through. So when you're looking at this, the rocket means it's already been launched. So we had a big launch of SASBOSS 2.0 back in March, and then we also did an update to CPQ to improve a lot of the UX for creating a bill of materials and quoting through there. So if you haven't seen that, go and have a look at it. Everyone has access to it. But what we're currently working on at the moment is what I've just mentioned. So it is the reseller brand management, it's the create modals, and it's the phase 1 of customer audit logs. Looking ahead, we've got the rest of, well, more of 2.0, and we're really focusing again on the areas that have a lot of traffic and are used the most. So you can see the DID inventory and porting orders areas in there. There's also a number of areas that customers have access to, which we want to ensure that they're getting the updates, not feeling a bit of a janky 2.0 version and 1.0 version experience. And then we're looking ahead, we've got some reseller area, so improving how you manage your settings and controls within there. Also our support area where you lodge tickets and manage your tickets, make that easier and better to use. Your profile and viewing usage and speed dial entries, which is rounding out some of the customer pages, as well as the new profile area, which will be updated based on the reseller sections. And then what we're talking about before, is there's a lot of pages in service management, lots of different menus and modals, and it goes quite deep in terms of what you're trying to look for. We're looking at refreshing that and making that a lot easier to use and streamlined. We've also got a bunch of improvements to invoices, charges, tariffs that we know a lot of the accountants and billing administrators are looking forward to too. So there's still quite a bit more off the page, but those are the upcoming ones. From a CPQ perspective, we do have a planned relaunch of CPQ, which will is re-looking at from almost from scratch the approach to creating a quote. So we have a lot of really great feedback on a CPQ because it's been out for a little while now, and we have really good feedback on the key areas I think that would be called out would be how to start a quote. So some people, when you land in there, whether you have the premium or not, it is quite blank, and what do I do? I'm maybe not used to selling voice very much.
Correct. If voice is a very new product to you, if Access 4 is a new product to you, it can be quite daunting to know where to start. So that is something that we are investigating, different ways that can happen, and how to that person who's new to selling voice isn't probably going to quote the same way who's sold voice for the past few years as well. They're two very different personas from that perspective as well. So how do we address that market as well? So
Exactly. So it's approaching the new to selling voice, but also keeping it easy for people who know exactly what they're doing. Don't want to put too many roadblocks in your way of things to do. So what we're really focusing on is definitely a streamlined approach. If you've quoted this kind of customer a million times, and you know exactly what products and add-ons and everything you're going to do, there's a really easy way to just go through and add all of these things from a regular bill of materials perspective. But if you more like, one of the biggest feedbacks is templates.
Yes.
We knew people were going to want templates when we first designed CPQ. It wasn't available in the scope at the start, but continuous feedback is we want templates. We want a starting point to jump off with. We want to make our own templates and save them because we quote the same kind of customer or same kind of vertical, and that's just a lot easier for us. So we're bringing in templates, not just the ones that we would normally provide, like under the call flow now that our wonderful SDs have made for us, but also templates that you can create. And they're a lot more powerful than they currently are in the current CPQ because they actually relate to a call flow and a list of products. So, for example, the medical center, you could have a template.
Great example. They are very much so one of those industries that 80% of medical centers out there have very similar call flows from that perspective. When you call in, it's probably going to do the same thing every single time. And if you're quoting, that's your industry, that's what you specialize in, and you don't want to create that from scratch every single time, templates is a great way of doing that, giving the salespeople the abilities to take that quote, change the number of staff and extensions, and send it. Make it much faster.
Exactly. So what we're planning to do is that you go in, you pick the template you're looking for, it'll then populate your call flow and your bill of materials of all the products that are in there. So you can pick medical center, and you can pick it BroadWorks and WebEx, or you can pick for UC Express, and it will then generate both those quotes for you. So a lot easier, especially when you're trying to get just to a number and show the customer this is what it's likely going to cost, much quicker for your sales team. And then the other one is, again, either you're new to selling voice or you haven't had the conversation with the customer yet. It's a scoping question estimation exercise. So it has basically the general questions you'd normally ask. How many staff do you have? How many interact with the phone system? How many need physical phones? A few basic questions that get you to a quick number again.
Including the basic ones of, do you use Microsoft Teams or not? That's one that starts most quotes nowadays. Is Teams calling is out there. Most people are selling Teams in some form or another. And so usually it's one of the first questions is, do you want Teams to be your phone system kind of situation? So those kind of questions as well.
Exactly. And also, if you're not using CPQ because you have your own CPQ tool, maybe using ConnectWise, AutoTask, something like that, we're making it easier to still use ours for some of the benefits that those aren't offering, like the ability to do like a call flow on its own, export it out and attach it to your AutoTask or ConnectWise quote. So lots of improvement there from a perspective to make CPQ more flexible, easy to use from a first-time perspective, but also integrate with your current processes.
Definitely.
So that's what the relaunch is. And then CDR flow is a really another one from techs love these ones, but there's a troubleshooting tool. Yep. So CDR flow is a visual representation of the call that happened. So picture this: customer calls in, says, my calls aren't going to the right place. It's going to voicemail. It's meant to be calling my phone. It's not ringing. You can say, great, when was the call? it was on the 13th at 2:30. No worries. Puts it straight into a search function. It will show you all the calls that happened. You know, oh, yep, that one. Click on it, and it will show you cradle to grave a visual of everything that happened in that call, where it came in, went to the IVR, they pushed 3, it went to a call queue, it went to agent 1, 2, 3, 4, it eventually got picked up by Mitch, who had a 2-minute conversation, and then entered the call. And perhaps it wasn't meant to go to Mitch. It was meant to go to Anne. And then you can go in there and you can know it was a call queue setting. You can click on, again, hard to imagine, visualize with me. There's a visualization of it, and then the call queue is there. You can click on that or open the property panel, and you can change the setting in there while on the phone to the customer, or even sharing your screen with the customer because they can see it.
Exactly. CDR flow includes CPQ. So CPQ being a quoting tool, CDR doesn't actually touch that.
No, so CDR flow is the call record, and so it's of active calls for live solutions.
Yeah.
So CPQ is design and quoting, and it gets you to the point where you can now go and create that customer using the new modal.
Yeah.
But now once you got a live solution,
and MS Teams, probably not.
No, we don't have. Yeah.
It's difficult for us to get those logs out of Microsoft. So if we can, we will definitely be looking into it. It's something that we will do a bit of investigation on. It's whether or not we can get that information out of Microsoft to be able to display it inside of our system is really where it comes down to.
Exactly. So sometimes we have limitations based on the visibility we can get from the products that we plug in, but all calls can be, but we will be looking at that because CDR flow as an MVP is a little while away. So we are still scoping it up, looking at what we can do from a feasibility perspective. It could be that we can see those calls, but it's also possible that we can't, and it just goes to the endpoint perspective.
Also depends on how much Microsoft changed their APIs and their different things from between now and then as well. So we can say no now, and then in a year or two when we are launching it and it's past MVP and it's version 2 kind of situation, potentially we can. So it's really comes down to how much we can get out of Microsoft at the time.
Exactly. But we'll be doing our best to bring as much coverage of the calls to you so that you can use this as a one-stop troubleshooting tool.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah, I think we're...
Do you want to give them the ability to have this bit of a say?
Yes. So that's what we're going to do now is, although I've just talked about some of the roadmap we have planned, we do have quite a lot in there, and we'd love to know your thoughts and helping us order and prioritize these roadmap features based on what you think you get value from. So I've talked about a few of them already just then, but there are a number on the list that I haven't spoken about. So if you get phones out, QR code and scan while I'm talking, I'll just talk you through what these are. So the first one is just the 2.0 rollout. So it's a BAU one almost at this point. We are continuing to do it. But if you're finding that there's a lot of parts of SASBOSS that are 1.0 and it's really difficult for you to use, or you want that just put up the top and more resources to it, vote for that number 1. But that's that we will continue to do SASBOSS 2.0. We will not stop based on this. It will just let us know.
It's do we prioritize it, or do we start working on that as business as usual, as well as prioritizing some other things on top of it as well?
Exactly. Thank you. Number 2 is a security package add-on for your customers to offer them some more cybersecurity options. So it's not just the basic toll fraud we have, it's AI-based toll fraud that can learn the behavior of the customer when they do things outside of that, but create the alert rather than just a straight set of rules that it currently uses. It also have username, what's it called when it gets on the dark web and people can see breach detection. So we'll do integrations to breach detection. It will do geo-IP threat detection. So if Mitch logs in from Melbourne and then 10 minutes later he logs in from Argentina, maybe it's not Mitch, maybe we offer him an MFA and just check to log in.
The scary part would be if Argentina was actually me and it wasn't me in Melbourne. That's way worse.
Yes, and it could be because you could be a VPN. Correct. So it could still be Mitch, but we just want to make sure that if it was a threat, we can alert and Mitch can take the right action for your customers. Also, dashboard monitoring to see all these potential threats and how often you're getting them. Is it ramping up? Is it okay? And then also onboarding, offboarding. So new user joins, you can sign up to everything quite quickly. When they leave, you can make sure you clear out all of their access to everything so they're not something left behind that could be exploited.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got votes coming in already. All right, I'm going to talk quicker. So CDR flow is, as I mentioned, the visualization of the core record, audit logs. So we've already got phase 1 coming in July. Phase 2 and 3, as we mentioned, it's the rest of the services, then groups and customer level logs. Live customer call flow, which we haven't mentioned, but a few you probably know what that is already. It's when you've created your customer, you've provisioned them, gone live, you can now see a live call flow of their solution, which you can then go push an edit button, and it will allow you to, it'll take a copy of the current call flow, leave the live one there so you're not breaking someone's system live, make your changes, and then you can provision and go live that, and it will cut across at a safe time, not when someone's in a queue or in a call and cut them off. It will do it in a quite a smart way, but it allows you to visually provision and make changes rather than through the menu system, if that's how you like to work.
I really hope you were not looking at the order or they were on the screen as you're reading them out. I would like to remember them because they've changed.
I know what they all are. It's okay. Hold on. Yeah, so CPQ relaunch we've mentioned already.
Yep.
Then there's, SASBOSS partner dashboards and reports. So this is reports for you, not for your customers. That's a separate piece of work that's being done already.
Yeah.
But this is reports that you would like to see. So helping you make business decisions, see, how many servers are coming on, maybe what white space, reporting, revenue, all that sort of stuff that you might want to use.
Currently, we're reporting on what services you have and over time growth and things like that, but a lot more detail into that as well.
Yes.
So a lot more information, making that more useful rather than I have 150 executive users. What does that mean?
Exactly. With insights and things you can do about it.
Correct.
On the list, there's also 2 Azure 365 single sign-on options. One is for the sign-on into SASBOSS. The other is sign-on into other third-party products. All right, so that's like taking your Azure 365 and logging into WebEx, all for the same space. So just be aware that they're different. I believe dark mode was on the list.
Yep.
Dark mode was on the list.
Dark mode is something we always get asked about. SASBOSS is a very bright interface, but it is something we've been asked for a lot. However, every time we speak to partners about it, it never seems to be a priority for them. They always have workarounds or something else on there. So we still add it to it. Yes,
everyone at Access 4 and our staff are very excited about dark mode, but I need to control the enthusiasm so that we're actually making what you guys need. And as Mitch said, dark mode, when we actually talk to the partners, say, no, it's not super high on our list, but we again always want to capture and find out if that's changing.
Exactly. So
as the request stem, we've got CDR flow coming in number 1, tightly contended with Audit Logs phase 2, which is the rest of the services. SASBOSS 2.0 rollout, which is always fantastic to see.
And it kind of aligns with your current roadmap.
It does, which is really, really convenient. Thank you very much. But to make too many changes. But that's really good to see. We do see the CPQ relaunch down number 8, but that's really good. Could we get an indication on music? Oh, as a report, yes. Yes, we would love to have suggestions for reports. That would be fantastic. There was a few small changes going, but CDR flow does seem to be quite that and Audit Logs, strongest contenders out there.
It's really good.
Well, keep voting if you haven't voted, but I think they're probably
not going to close it just yet. Yeah. It will stay open for a little bit of while, so keep voting. But is there anything else we want to run through?
That was all I had. That's all I have.
There's a lot of changes. So
there's a lot of changes.
Yep. Release date.
Release date. Very good question. So I mentioned it's coming out in July. The current planned date for launch is July 3rd for all the things that we've mentioned. There will be more comms that come out before that date to let you know that it's a week away, sort of coming out very, very soon. So if it does change, you will know about it ahead of time. But that is the current planned date, just in as a present for the new financial year. It's a present for me. My birthday's that week as well, so I'm very excited about it.
I planned that one.
I like launching these things. So yes, July 3rd is the launch date for those things. We do, as mentioned, have quite a lot in the roadmap, and what we showed you on the screen isn't everything because there's also other smaller pieces that we're always working on. The residential schedules for New Zealand. I can see you there, Michael. That are in there, which we're bringing out soon as well. So lots of little things like that, portal ideas that we're bringing through. So not mentioning everything, but those are the big ticket items that we want to know your thoughts on.
Definitely.
So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Mitch, for joining me today and assisting me.
Always love being on these things. So
And yes, again, thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for giving us your thoughts and then what you'd like to see. It really helps me a lot bring the roadmap, because we always want to do it as partner-led, co-designed and brought out for you as you need it. So thank you. We'll leave the voting open if you haven't completed, but we will sign off.
Awesome. It's good to see you all again. Thank you.
Bye.